everyone, and welcome back to the Keepin It Real podcast. Today, I have my very first online guest, and it is going to be a very, very interesting and amazing topic that we are going to hit on today. So I'm excited to bring you all along on this journey and through her life and just a little bit about our journey together. So today, we have my friend Carly Dennison on the podcast. Hey girl,
Hi,
how are
everyone.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to talk a little bit about your story and just tell a little bit about our story and kind of how our lives are similar and all those things. So me and Carly have been friends for a very long time. We were in a school play together I was in, I think, third grade and she was in second grade, and we were ladybugs. That's
Elementary
how
school.
that's how our friendship started, and we became super close in high school, and we have just had similar journeys in life, and I'm excited to show or tell everyone like kind of where we've come from and where we are now. So we are going to be talking a little bit about our transition into more of a holistic lifestyle. Carly is definitely a little bit farther ahead than I am, and I look up to her immensely for that. But we both definitely have a history of partying and drinking and being a little bit more on the wild side. And we both have transitioned into this whole holistic lifestyle. So, Carly, I know recently, well, kind of recently, that you have found medical medium. So, if you could just explain a little bit about your journey and how you found him and what kind of sparked you to want to go onto this holistic journey with him, I think that everyone would really want to know that.
Yeah, of course. So, I had been dealing with several chronic symptoms for so many years, and I had seen so many doctors. My main symptom being my skin. That was the only really visible one. The rest of them were invisible to the human eye and pushed under the rug by so many different doctors. So I constantly was trying to look for that for so many years. I went to so many different dermatologists for my skin. I went to gynecologists thinking that maybe it was something to do with that. I went to endocrinologists. I went to gastroenterologists. I went all over with this just never ending list of symptoms that I had that made no sense. And I always knew that they somehow correlated.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people out there are dealing with chronic symptoms, but to me, it felt like I was being called to this. For some reason, I just could never get this idea out of my head. I knew that what I was struggling with, I had to make something out of it. If I was going to be going through this, I had to, not only heal myself, but heal others. So constantly every day, this is what clouded my mind up. And I know I needed to get some clarity on it and get answers. And that's what I searched for. So one day I was just on TikTok and I found this girl. Her name is Ella. She is one of my friends now. She's the founder of My Magic Healer. It's a natural skin healing company. And I've actually done some work with them, and they're all great there. It's awesome. The product is amazing. And she not only was promoting how amazing this product was to heal so many different skin issues, but how important it was to heal from the inside and how everything stems from inside and you need to cleanse from within. And, I kept seeing these TikToks and just thought, that's really awesome. This relates to me, but I never dove deep into it. And I would like them and I would favorite them, but I just never really took initiative on it. So I was at work one day and I was on my lunch break, which is an hour, and I'm scrolling on TikTok and I found another TikTok from her. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to this girl's page. Something's calling me to go to this girl's page right now. So I went and I scrolled her TikTok the whole hour of my lunch break. And she kept referring to medical medium. And she had been dealing with similar skin issues as me. So she talked about her experience, and it was very similar to mine and all these other symptoms that she was dealing with. And she referred directly to this one podcast that he has for,
Okay.
skin issues and other symptoms. So I decided, what the heck, I'm going to listen to it. So I
Yeah.
went back into work and I popped my headphones in. And the second I started listening to as soon as like the podcast turned on, before I even listened to it,
Yeah.
it just made sense. I felt this inner sense of calmness, like this was going to, for some reason, this was going to be it.
Wow.
And I'm listening to the podcast and the podcast is going on and I'm like, how did I ever not think that anything else was going to work besides this? It just all made so much sense. I felt such a relief and such a sense of clarity after listening to it, in the root cause to these symptoms.
Yeah.
So I was itching to get out of work that day. I was ready to go home. I almost felt overwhelmed because the rest of the day I am just researching this and like, I need to learn more about this. I need to look into this. What is this? I had so many questions and I just wanted to get started immediately. So I had went home that day and I went right to the grocery store and I immediately started buying. I looked up the celery juice and so many inspirations of like all these people that had been healing for from years of symptoms, of so many different symptoms, and I immediately bought the celery juice and I had already had a juicer, so I jumped into that almost immediately and doing some of the other things that he offered. And
Wow.
the most important part was to not only introduce these healing protocols, but to remove all the junk that I had been dealing with before, that I had been letting in my body, that I didn't know enough about, or even things that you think are good for you that I had been eating every day that was affecting my acne and my other symptoms. So it just led me down this journey of holistic healing. And ever since then, it's been, just a new world for me, a new lifestyle. It's been beautiful. So yeah.
That's awesome. I know. So it's crazy. So I remember seeing your first post about medical medium because I followed medical medium for like a couple years because my aunt used to be really, really into it. Not used to be, she still is, but she used to be more into it than she is now because she didn't have kids. Like she was, you know, had a lot more time on her hands. So
Of
she used to
course, of course.
do all of these things. And then I started implementing all of these things. And then when COVID hit and everyone was home, not doing anything, I was so on top of it and I was doing so much of his things and diving into all of his research. So when you posted him, I'll never forget, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get back on that. And then I like went to the grocery store and I was like, I gotta get all these fruits and things. And I got all like the things and I got all back into it. So it's so crazy, but it's so awesome to see like his information that he gives is so insane and it's so just life changing. I love looking at everything and he just explains how every single thing that you eat relates to some part of your body and I just think that that's
Hmm.
absolutely like incredible. So that
Hmm.
is such like a cool story and it's so cool, social media can be such like a negative thing but sometimes it can be such a positive thing, and when you find someone like that on social media that can just seriously change your life, I think that's one of the biggest benefits of social media. So that's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. The backstory of medical medium is that when he was 4 years old, he has a true gift. He was able to see and understand what people were dealing with. And
Yeah.
it's like the power of spirit, and it's very interesting. It's very cool. Um,
Mm.
gives me the chills because it's very real, and a lot of people don't like to think that, but it is real, and the root cause to all of our symptoms are viruses and bacteria and toxic heavy metals and things like that, but we're told for many years that our body's just attacking itself, or that if someone in your family line has cancer, that you're going to get cancer, but that's just not the truth. It's just not how it works. So, in order to heal, we have to learn the real information. That's the whole thing about it, is we have to learn it and understand the truth before we can actually heal.
Absolutely. And it's also crazy, like you think about like our foods that we eat every day, and then, they prescribe us all these antibiotics and medicines and things like that that just make it 10 times worse, instead of saying, these are the foods that you need to eat to heal your body. This is what you need to heal your body. Instead, they'll just prescribe us something that, is going to make it a million times worse instead
No,
of finding
right,
the
right.
cause.
Definitely. It's like this common theme with all the doctors that I went to was, all right, well, we're gonna run some tests on you, and I was constantly getting blood tests, and okay, your tests look normal. I think you're just a little bit stressed, and we're gonna prescribe you this. So I had been on so many antibiotics, at least over 20 rounds of antibiotics, and some of the rounds I was on for months and months at a time. That completely ruined my gut. It ruined
Oh
everything
yeah.
going on inside of my body. And not only that, but the medications are also loaded with so many chemicals, so many toxic heavy metals, and things like that. So not only are you like these medications that they're prescribing you, it's like just adding onto your illness, and you might
Yeah.
see, a temporary fix. It's like a band-aid, but other than that, down the road, it's going to create so many other problems and so many other health issues.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just exactly like you said, it's a band-aid. It's not actually healing you. It's just making it good for a little bit, and then guess what? You're gonna have to give them more money again, and that
Right.
keep being on the antibiotic for the rest of your life.
Right, right. It's like, all right, next one, we'll try this one because my body's resistant to it now, so let's just try the next one. And
Yeah.
until your body's just isn't even reacting to any of the medications you're taking, that's how many you've tried. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So what really like necessarily made you have to go to the doctor? Like, were you not feeling well? Were you seeing like, was it mostly your skin? Like what was that like that you wanted to go to the doctors or needed to?
So as soon as I started hitting puberty, um, I started developing a lot of different symptoms. I had headaches and I had, yeast infections and a lot of sinus infections. I was getting sick a lot. But the main thing was my skin. That's what was visible to me. I just thought everything else was normal. I thought it was things that we had to deal with. And when I originally hit puberty, it wasn't nearly as bad. As it became later in life. But it was my skin that drove me to start going to the doctors. The first doctor I'd ever seen was a dermatologist. And when I went to the dermatologist, I was diagnosed with acne and folliculitis, which is an inflammation of the hair follicle. But the real root cause is, bad bacteria from within, and it's infecting your hair follicle, and it's creating these pus-filled, itchy bumps. From bacteria. So I was originally prescribed antibiotics in these topical shampoos that's supposed to help with the folliculitis. And I felt a sense of relief for maybe a couple weeks until it came right back. And then I went back to the dermatologist and it just began to go in this cycle. Before I knew it, I had been on several antibiotics and several topicals that nothing began to work anymore at all. Was just nothing was helping me. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's
Hmm.
crazy. That's so cool to hear though, like that you found something that was actually going to heal you, and just like seeing you now, like you're so different, like you look different. I can tell that you feel different, and
Hmm.
you're filling yourself with knowledge that matters instead of like other things. So I think that that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's really cool.
So since you've implemented all of these things into your daily life, into your routine, what changes have you noticed in your physical and mental well-being, and just overall, what have you noticed that has changed?
So I like how you asked about the mental aspect because I think a lot of people think that it's just eating food and that's going to heal your body, which it most definitely will. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's a mind, body, soul journey. And by eating these healing foods that are physically healing your body, it's going to heal your soul, it's going to heal your mind, it's going to heal you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So, on a physical level, I obviously had that never ending list of symptoms that almost completely diminished. But not only that, I was able to get out of bed every day and actually want to, experience life before what my life kind of looked like. in complete honesty, was I would get up and I used to vape and I used to smoke and I used to drink and have that sort of lifestyle. But a lot of people like to blame those things too and think that that's the cause of your symptoms, but it's obviously not good for you. It's obviously, again, real pathogens and viruses and bacteria behind our symptoms. But that's what my day used to look like. So now physically, I feel clarity when I wake up. It's like surreal in the beginning. I woke up and was like, is this real? Like I used to wake up and be like, the first thing I used to do was run to the mirror, and I used to have really bad body acne. So I used to look in the mirror and have a couple new cystic acne bumps, or throughout my day, I would wonder, like, all right, I wonder if I'm going to get a headache today, or I wonder if I'm going to be dealing with some digestive issues. And now it's like, I just kind of glide through my day and I feel good and I feel my mind feels clear.
Yeah.
And I think a big part is that I got the truth, I got the relief, so I'm not clouded up with. I used to walk around and wonder, like, do you feel like this too? Do you feel like this? I wonder if you feel like this too. Is it just me? But now it's like I feel completely clear and mentally I'm just in a lot better of a space now.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're filling our body with those toxins, with those things that we consume every day, we can't wake up and have a good day, you know? You can't get through the day. I used to not be able to get through the day without a nap. I used to just wait every day. I used to wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to bed tonight." Like every single morning. And it's so crazy like once you really start implementing good foods into your body, not all of this crap in your body, not drinking every day, not vaping, not doing all those things, it's crazy how you wake up and you just feel like an energized new person. So I can relate to that so much because I used to wake up and run to my coffee pot, like literally run, wake up and
Mm-hmm.
sprint to my coffee pot. And
Mm-hmm.
an hour later, I was like, I need to take a nap. I can't even function anymore. Like, I used to feel like I was going to pass out, like I was going to fall over. And now, like, I wake up, I give myself a second, I drink my lemon water. Like, I still have my coffee. Coffee is my life. But I, I just like, it's so different. And then, I wake up, I read my Bible, I get into that habit instead of waking up and being on the phone and be on go, go, go. If I wake up and I don't read my Bible now, you don't want to be around me. Like it's just it ain't a good
No,
day.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy how
completely agree.
yeah, it's crazy how you implement those things into your life and your life takes a complete 180. I remember this last summer I just woke up every day just in a depression. I was like, "Oh, great, another day, like another 24 hours that I'm going to have to get through." And it's just like the worst way to live. It sucks and it's not good and you don't want to
Mhm.
live that way. So when you find something that really works for you and you find something that's actually healing the root cause of your mind, your body, everything changes. So it's so true.
Yeah, and to go off of that, um, it used to be the same thing. I used to wake up and I felt like I hadn't slept in
Yeah.
25 days. I would sleep for 14 to 15 hours sometimes, and I felt like I had not slept. And I would go to work, and I was never like a coffee drinker or anything like that, but I felt horrible the whole day. I felt absolutely horrible. I would go into my car at my lunch break and sleep, and then go home and take a 3 hour nap, and then I would wake up and that's literally what my day used to look like. And I would wake up and then have probably something crappy for dinner that I thought wasn't the worst for me. And then I would go to bed and repeat. And that was my life. And I had no purpose and I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I had no idea who I was. Um, so being able to wake up again and even have, I always stress how important it is to have your morning routine. And it sets you up for your whole entire day. It can be something that it's very personal to everyone. So if it's, reading your Bible, or if it's starting your day with, again, drinking celery juice or going to the gym or meditating, whatever it is for you that works for you, that's awesome. But it really is so important to do something that works for you, because it sets you up for your whole day. And when you're constantly waking up in this negative mindset, like, again, like you said, like I would wake up and be like, oh my God, like I hate this, I hate this, and I hate this. And I had this negative mindset, and, you know, would love to complain about my life rather than fix it. And I knew deep down that I didn't know when, how, where, who, what it was going to be, but I always knew that something was going to happen in my life and these changes were going to be implemented. I just didn't know when.
Yeah.
Um, but the same sort of thing. And you can really get caught up in that sort of mindset, and it's very negative to your life, and it can really affect you.
Yeah, and that affects your health as well. When you're living in this negative mindset, because you can't be motivated to do anything. You can't be motivated to want to eat healthy or do anything good when you're constantly in this negative mindset. So mindset is definitely something that, you know, I've definitely implemented in my life and my personal development journey as well. If I didn't do any of my personal development stuff, I would not be where I am today either, you know, because you wake up every day and you're setting yourself up to win, or you're not setting yourself up to win. So I think that, you know, mindset is so important too. And it just all correlates with everything, with your health, with what you eat, with what you do. So yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. That's awesome.
Yeah, and for me, and I think for most people, is they have to, you know, address their body on a physical level first, because I took things one step at a time. I took it the physical route first, and I was able to overcome these symptoms. So I was able to feel myself, and I was able to come to this clarity within my mind and my brain. Because again, things are physically changing on inside. So when your body's physically changing internally, your whole entire external environment is going to change.
Yeah.
So when things are getting better inside, your whole external environment's going to brighten up in front of you. Things are going to start changing positively. Everything around you is going to start changing.
Wow, that's so, so good. That's so true. Um,
Mm-hmm.
can you bring us through a little bit of your morning routine, and if you could just explain kind of each step and why you do that step and all that? I would definitely want to hear that. And I know, like, just in case someone's listening and they want to know, like, how do I start? Where do I start? Just to kind of guide them through that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So I start my day every day with lemon water. So what lemon water does is it flushes out all the toxins from the night before. So your liver has over 2,000 chemical functions, and it works really hard to filter out everything harmful for our body. So basically, overnight, it works really hard to gather up these toxins from that day or whatever it might be. And the lemon water basically flushes it all out, and the lemon helps it hydrate your body on a cellular level and really get things moving. You're most likely going to go to the bathroom afterwards, but that's a good sign. It's that things are moving, you're detoxing, and that's great. You're cleansing. Um, and it also, again, just hydrates your body on a really deep cellular level. And you want to remineralize that water, because without, a little bit of coconut water in it or lemon or something, it's really just not really having any value. Obviously, water is great, but yeah. So after that, I do my celery juice, and my celery juice it's really just amazing. I would recommend it to anyone, for anyone in their health, but especially if you're dealing with chronic symptoms or a diagnosis or anything. I always tell everyone the thing I can't even explain how amazing it really is for your health. The main thing I always say is, what doesn't it do? Because it really heals your body on such a deep level. The mineral salts in it are just truly amazing. It's healed people from autoimmune conditions, cancer, really everything. And any juice is great. If you have certain symptoms, something else really works for you, that's awesome too. But to always have your lemon water and a nice fresh juice, that is awesome. And then lastly, I will do the medical medium heavy metal smoothie. And that is wild blueberries, bananas, orange juice, Atlantic dulse, barley grass juice powder, spirulina. Am I missing anything? Wild blueberries, 7 ingredients. Wild blueberries, bananas, dulse, cilantro, orange juice, barley grass juice powder, and spirulina. And all 7 ingredients work amazing together to remove toxic heavy metals from the body. If you're someone who's dealing with, bipolar disorder or anxiety, really heavy load of toxic heavy metals and neurological like that, even too, it's definitely important to take it slow because these things are really going to cleanse your body on a deep level. And you might need to take things very slow, one step at a time, introduce a little bit in, maybe introduce a couple ingredients at first. But any smoothie is awesome. So I like to get into the routine of lemon water, a juice, and a smoothie for my day.
That's awesome. And then I know you also used to do raw garlic and honey. Can you explain the benefits of that a little bit?
Yeah, so raw garlic is a natural herb. It's super, super powerful. It's extremely antiviral, extremely antibacterial. Same thing with honey, same exact thing. And I used to every morning, I haven't been doing it as much. It's very powerful. I'm at a point in my healing where I feel like it's almost a little too powerful for me now. I think that my body's detoxing on a deeper level now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I used to take one garlic clove and crush it up and do a little bit of honey and just take a spoonful of it every single morning on an empty stomach. And again, it's really going to get things moving for the day. You're going to be going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're going to be experiencing probably more symptoms at first. I experienced a lot of purging in my skin, acne wise. A lot of things surfaced, but it's very powerful for people dealing with all types of different symptoms.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and it's also like what you said, like even cleansing your body is so good for anxiety. I remember when me and Chase were going through a little bit of an anxiety cycle. Chase a little bit more than me, but I started implementing like medical medium stuff with him, and I started doing it, and it just like helped us so much.
Hmm.
And even more or less for me, Chase doesn't like to do those things too much, but for me, for me, it has really helped. Like ever since like I've started eating organic and doing fruits in the morning and all those things, like just my anxiety, my stress, my like I'm not jittery. I don't feel crazy. It's so crazy how doing these things in your life can just change everything drastically. So that's such a cool morning routine. And it's something that I know so many people can benefit from. If they're experiencing anything like this, to just try it. You know, Carly posts a lot on her Instagram and her TikTok, which we'll link here, and we'll tell you guys her social media handles so that you can follow her. But just all of those things are super important and super important to do in your healing journey. And just know that it could be a little bit rough in the beginning, but it's all
Definitely rough. It's all worth it. You come to the other side eventually, and it's very individual to everyone. But again, with that morning routine, what I forgot to mention is your body does the most cleansing in the morning. So even if you're doing, like, I always recommend to everyone to do no fats until noon because your body's doing the most cleansing in the morning and you're helping out your liver by getting out all those toxins gathered up. So as soon as you eat fat, it's basically stopping that process. It thickens the blood. How I like to explain it and think of it is it thickens the blood, so it's harder for oxygen and glucose to get to the cells, and it's harder for your body to cleanse. So even if you're doing like a healthy smoothie and you're adding peanut butter, that's great. But I would recommend keeping the fats out until noon.
yeah, yeah. I like that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. For some listeners who might be curious and want to approach a holistic healing method, what would advice would you give to them, even if they are a little bit skeptical about it? What advice would you give to them to just try it and do it?
I like this question. So we've all made healing much more difficult than it has to be. We were already put on this earth. God put us on this earth with everything we needed, and we all like to make it a lot more complicated. And if you're someone who's skeptical and maybe you've tried everything, maybe you have a diagnosis and you're like, no, I've done everything, I've tried it all, and it's not going to work. This isn't going to work for me. I've done it all. I know how frustrating that cycle can be of going to doctors, trying everything, trying different diets, trying different medications. But this information really does work. And everyone out there who is doing it, that, maybe they haven't seen the best results is because details really do matter.
Yeah.
Again, take it one step at a time and don't get too caught up on the perfection of it, but details do really matter. But again, another thing I would say is don't believe all the bullshit you see online.
Mm.
The $500 gut cleanse supplement that you're looking at isn't going to work. It's never going to work. I've tried them. I've done them. They don't work.
Me too.
And
They don't work.
yeah, they don't work. And you can't supplement out a crappy diet or a crappy lifestyle. You just can't. And I used to think that all of these different things were going to work, and it honestly made me feel worse. Or if you do feel a sort of relief, you'll probably feel it very temporary, and then you're going to be right back to where you started.
Well, it's so true. Like I've implemented like greens powders and um probiotics, and I cannot tell you that I feel 1,000 times more bloated. My stomach is in an uproar. I just can't. It's unbelievable. And I mean, some people's bodies maybe can handle it. I don't know, but mine cannot. And I also think like what we were saying about even prescriptions and about things like that, it's just a mask, and it's just a band-aid over what you're feeling. And when you go to the root cause of it, when you do what you're supposed to be doing, and exactly what you said, what God gave us on this earth to use to heal our bodies, then that's exactly how you're going to heal your body. You're not going to heal it from all of these crazy supplements and spending thousands of dollars every month to take your bloating away.
So, yeah, and ingredients really do matter. You want to check everything you're putting into your body. In all of those powders, there's so much crap in it. There's citric acid and there's natural flavors and artificial flavors, which are linked to hundreds and thousands of chemicals within them. And they're contributing to your bloating and your digestive disorders and your other symptoms. So, ingredients really do matter. You really want to be particular on the things that you're putting into your body, because especially with those $500 powders, or oh my god, you'll take this and you're going to heal. It's not the case, number one. And number two, you have to look at those ingredients within it because they are, again, contributing to these symptoms.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's so true because like I look at ingredients like I'm one of those freaks in the grocery store. Like you'll see me and I'm like looking at every ingredient on the back of the thing to make sure that there's nothing in it. And it's just you have to be so careful because especially in this world and these days, they're sneaking in so many little things here and there into our foods that we have no idea what they're even putting in it until you actually go and look at the ingredients and you're like, wait, what even is that? And something that you don't even know how to say or even understand where it's from, but yet we're somehow allowed to eat that or somehow allowed to buy that at a grocery store blows my mind. It really does.
No, definitely. And yeah, it really is crazy the lab made ingredients that they have, that the flavor that keeps us all addicted and wanting more, and the hidden MSG and certain things. And you really have to learn what to look out for. And I think that if you're not looking at the ingredients you're putting in your body, it is a much bigger issue if you're looking at every single thing you're putting into your body. And I love when I see people at the grocery store looking at their ingredients because half of these people are just it's crazy because I'll be walking down the aisle and my cart's loaded with fruits, it's loaded with vegetables, and it's loaded with all clean stuff. And
Yeah.
I will get so many looks from people like
Yeah.
looking at me like I'm crazy, and then I look into their cart and it's filled with Oreos and pizza rolls and these things, and I'm like, I wish I could tell you the I wish I could let
Yeah.
you in on the information, but some people can't even begin to like listen to it nor understand it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it really poisons us. It poisons our brain, and
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I always say this like this is just something that because I've experienced it. You know, you go to Europe and these people are 85 years old still walking around. You don't see people in scooters in not being able to move and not be able to do these things because their foods aren't filled with preservatives and all of these horrible ingredients, and they're just so much more lively, they're just so much more healthier, like they're always out doing things, they're in the sun, they're doing this, that, the other thing. And I feel like here in just like America alone, us so afraid of the sun. We see these older elderly people who can't even walk by themselves because they've just been feeding and poisoning their body their entire lives, and they are on all these medications, they're constantly at doctor's appointments, and these doctors, they don't care about our genuine well-being, they care about the money through it all. It's if if I go to a doctor and they tell me you need to be put on this medication, I'm immediately leaving. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
not. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
let's find the root cause of it. Let's find what's actually going to help me instead of just putting me on this medication.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so it's bizarre to me, but I mean, the more that the little we can do by spreading awareness of these things is, if it helps one person, then I think that's amazing. I mean, just looking at you, like I said in the beginning, I fell off of medical medium stuff, and granted, I don't do it as much as you, which I will get there eventually, but just when you posted it that one day, I was like, oh, I need to get back onto that. I called you, we had like an hour phone call like a month ago, just about what I can start doing, what different things I can start, putting into my body. And ever since I've even started doing those things have helped. And, I texted you a couple weeks ago, I was like, hey, can you look at this ingredient for me? What do you think of this? And because I want to live a healthy full life, because I know what it feels like when I live a healthy life. I know what space I'm in. I know how good I feel. So it's so important. So I just hope like that, even anyone listening to this, that they'll message us and be like, I'm doing my medical medium thing today. And it's awesome. It's awesome to know that we can help anyone, because you've helped people and you've helped me. So I just think that that's so cool.
You'll never want to go back to the way you were feeling before once you feel good. Once you feel that, there's nothing better than that. Nothing will ever be able to beat feeling good naturally. I have no desire to drink. I have no desire to do anything like that anymore, because I know I'm going to feel like crap. And I feel good. I'm high on life. I have received so many messages of so many people dealing with the exact same symptoms as me, or all different things. It is truly so interesting, around the world how many people. I think everyone, if you're not dealing with one chronic symptom, I have yet to meet someone
Yeah.
who doesn't have a chronic symptom. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, no, I know. It really is, and it's it's sad and scary, because that's not how we were like that's not how we were designed to be. We weren't designed to have all of these chronic illnesses and symptoms and all these things, but it's awesome that there's a cure, and there's a healing things out there that can help us. So coming from the background that you did come from, I can relate to it on the level of partying, of drinking, of doing all those things and being involved in that crowd. How has the opinions of others affected this journey of yours, or has it affected this journey of yours at all? Because I know, even from my experience, like even cutting out some people in my life a couple months ago, um, the opinions of them and the things that I received, the hate, the unfollows, everything like that. Have you experienced that from starting this journey? And you know what have you experienced, and to help other people navigate through that, if they do start this journey, help them, give them some advice to get through that negativity, because I know that there always is going to be some.
Yeah, this is a really, really good question. It's probably the hardest part of the journey, because the person that you once were is now gone, and it changes relationships with everyone around you.
Yeah.
So the people that knew you for who you once were want to continue that relationship with the person that you once were. And us as humans, we don't like change. No one likes change. It's uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable.
Yep.
And when the relationship dynamic changes, when your life changes. So it's very uncomfortable to others when that part of you changes. I've definitely received definitely criticism and a lot of, passive aggressive comments as well towards people I know throughout this journey. And it's definitely been the hardest part because deep down, I'm like, this is the only thing I've ever wanted. And this is the only thing that I've ever dreamed of. And this is my calling. I knew this was going to happen one day, and this is all that I've ever wanted. And I'm doing something really amazing for myself. So the main thing that I've learned throughout my healing journey is that nothing is ever personal to you. It is all directly reflecting what's going on within someone else. And I used to be very sensitive to that. I used to take everything very seriously from what everyone was saying to me or actions from others. Prior to healing and prior to this and to everything, I used to be very sensitive to all of that. But the main thing I've learned within the journey is that it really is personal to them.
Yeah.
And I saw a quote one time and it was really awesome. It was like, the main difference between me and you is that when someone acts horrible to me, I think that someone's wrong with them, but you think there's something wrong with you. And I think that's really important because I've built up so much within myself of thinking that there's something wrong with me and thinking that I'm doing something wrong or I'm on the wrong path depending on the opinions of others. But that all just reflects back to not knowing myself enough. And when you don't know yourself enough and you don't know who you are, you develop opinions and everything else from everyone around you. That's going to be the perspective of who you are, is what everyone else thinks of you. So that's the most important part, is getting to know yourself and knowing who you truly are, understanding your truth and standing your ground on that. Because if you don't, then you're going to get walked all over. You're going to develop these ideas of who you're supposed to be. And it's just not true.
Absolutely. No, and I've even noticed just recently, just because I've been diving so deep into my relationship with God, like how many people have unfollowed me that were a part of such a big part of my life and things like that, but also how many people I've gained, even that
Mm-hmm.
are actually supporting me and actually people that I have been praying for in my life for years now. And it's crazy when, I had definitely a point of aloneness, a point of like not being around anyone, and really a point of just being alone. And it was so sad and so scary, but that time
Mm-hmm.
of being alone grew me into something that I needed to be for these new people that were coming into my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's something that is so, so important. If you're going through singleness and you're not in a relationship, that is the time where you get to grow yourself and you get to learn who you are, so that when
Mm-hmm.
someone comes into your life, that you are the best version of yourself and you know who you are, so that you can be the best version of yourself for your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And
Mm-hmm.
it it's such a crazy thing how someone can be so a part of your life and so important in your life, and then you take one direction different and they're completely out of your life. Because I genuinely believe that when you are growing and becoming a better person and in implementing these things into your life that are going to ultimately grow you, people will start unfollowing you and start not wanting to be a part of your life because they think that the things that you're saying are directly about them or directed to them, which it's not. It's just what you are wanting to do in your life, and it's what you are wanting to aspire to be, and you're making that step towards it, but people will take it
Mm-hmm.
personally. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It's so crazy how you will do something good for yourself and people will twist it and put it about them when it has nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm. And going through that period of isolation is crucial when you're
Oh yeah.
healing, no matter who you are, what's going on, where you are in life. You have to go through a period of isolation. I have felt extremely alone throughout the process. Even if you have people supporting you and everything like that, you have to go through that sort of isolation process because that's what gets you through. You can't, in my opinion, I don't think you can really heal and get to the other side unless you go through that isolation period and make it through the other end. And like you said, to add on to that, when you step into your authentic self, because again, there's so many years of layering of who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing. Oh, you're
Yeah.
supposed to have this job and you're supposed to be this person and you're supposed to be this friend to me and you're supposed to be this person in a relationship to me.
Yeah.
You develop these layers of who you should be, but deep down, it's who you really are
Yeah.
and what you believe in. And once you figure that out and start stepping into that, all the right people are going to be directed to you and all the wrong people are going to be directed away from you. And it's weird because you don't understand it at first and it feels like everything's falling apart, but it's just so everything can come back together again and so your life can get so much better. And it really is a crucial part of it. And
Yeah.
when I was experiencing this, it was very confusing to me. Very confusing to me. I didn't understand what was going on. It was a huge awakening for me within everything, within the lifestyle changes I was making. When you are your true, authentic self, it only triggers people that haven't stepped into their true, authentic self.
Yeah.
So that's really important to understand that because it triggers someone when seeing that you're so unapologetically yourself
Mm.
and you know who you are and you're confident in who you are and nothing anyone can say can tear you down because you have such a strong opinion of who you are, you know who you are, that nothing can affect you and it triggers people. It's almost like they're like, oh, I can't get to her anymore. I can't manipulate her anymore or control that sort of aspect anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and then again, it just changes the dynamic of the relationship. And
Yeah.
that's just how things go.
And it's so true. The people who are meant to be in your life are going to be in your life. And I truly believe that everyone is put in your life for a reason and in a time in
Mm-hmm.
your life, even if it was a very hurtful ending to it. It all is
Mm-hmm.
for a reason and it's all for you to grow and be the person that you're supposed to be. So if someone exited your life, if someone's not in your life anymore, yes, of course there's going to be a point of grieving, there's going to be a point of hurt and a hard thing to get through, but you also get to know that that person was literally supposed to be in your life for the exact reason, and that person was taken out of your life for a very specific reason. Genuinely believe that what's meant to be will be, and you just get to go through your life being the best version of yourself and the version that you want to be, and whoever's supposed to be in your life and follow you and implement these things in your life will do that with you. So don't focus on the people that are putting negativity in your life when you're just trying to be the best version of yourself, because they're only there to try and weigh you down and to not get you to be at the point that you want to be in your life. So focus on you, focus on what is the best thing for you, and you will notice how far you'll go, and you will start to accomplish all of the things that you want to accomplish. I had to go through a point in my dance career where I literally lost my whole dance career, and it it is what it is, because at the end of the day, I'm exactly the person that I want to be right now. Am I
Mm-hmm.
perfect? No. Do I still have a lot of growth to do? Absolutely. I have so much to learn and so much to do, but I know that if I was in my dance career right now, I would be so lost. I would be so a mess, and I wouldn't be this person I am. I mean, I think about like the cruise ships when I was dancing on the cruise ships and how I loved it so much, but deep down I still was never fulfilled and I was never
Mm-hmm.
satisfied and I was never okay. I was
Mm-hmm.
always wanting more. I was like, oh, I can't wait to get back to New York and start auditioning again, when I was literally living my best life. I was traveling the world dancing and doing exactly what I wanted to do, but I had no
It
sense of
didn't
what.
fill.
Yeah,
It didn't
exactly.
fill the void that you had to work on yourself. It wasn't filling that because you weren't truly working on yourself
Yes,
in the way you
exactly.
needed to.
Exactly. And I had no idea who I was or who I was meant to be. So I was never fulfilled. There was no
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment. And right before I started like my walk with God and my journey with God, I remember sitting with my boyfriend and his family, and I was just sitting there and I was like, I am so unfulfilled. I am
Mm-hmm.
so just in this dark path. I'm so in this darkness. Like, what can I do to be fulfilled? Like, all I want to do is move. I want to dance. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's like, I'm just so unfulfilled. And they showed me like the people that I follow, Sadie Robertson, like all these girls that are Christian girls. And it's like, I started listening to them and all of a sudden I'm fulfilled.
Hmm.
All of a sudden
Exactly.
I'm good. Like, yes, of course, there things that I want to do and long to do always. And that's just, I think, a part of growing and wanting to be better. You're always going to long to want to do things, but you still have a sense of fulfillment and peace. So it's crazy.
You're always evolving. There's never going to be a point where you're like, I'm perfectly exactly to where I want to be. I'm the exact person and I'm perfect. Like, we are imperfect human beings, and that's the most beautiful part about it all is none of us
Yeah.
are perfect. None of us ever will be perfect. And I think the main thing is when you're in a situation where you're not exactly happy to where you want to exactly be, you just have to let it be. And you have to live in the present and stop thinking of the future and the past and what you could have done differently and what you could have, or trying to control every second of what's going to happen in the future. Because, and even if you're, again, unhappy in your situation right now, you're not exactly where you want to be. Sometimes there's nothing else to do but just let it be. You have to just remain in the spot that you are and just enjoy it. Even if you hate maybe the reality you have right now until it can get better. Complaining is not going to get you anywhere, and being negative about your situation isn't going to get you anywhere. And again, we're always evolving, and the universe is constantly inviting you to be a better person, constantly inviting you to grow, and it tests you in different forms of different things. It's like the saying, like, you can get into so many relationships, you can get into so many jobs, and you can get into so many friendships, and you can travel around the whole world, but if you do not do the inner work, you're never going to be fulfilled. You're going to keep facing these similar situations. And I think what a lot of people don't want to believe is sometimes you got to reflect inside and say, you know, maybe these people aren't good for me, but what's inside of me that's attracting these similar people around me? Or why do I keep facing these similar situations within people I'm meeting, or, you know, workspaces or whatever it might be? That's what you have to ask yourself at the end
Yeah.
of the day. And that's where a lot of people stop, because it's not easy. And if it was easy, everyone would do it and, you know, feel inclined to do it, because you have to really be at a point in your life where you're like, you know what, these things aren't working for me, and I need to reflect on myself. Because maybe it's, you know, we can blame each other all we want, or I can blame it on this or I can blame it on that, but I need to look at myself and what is going on, and, you know, how did I get to this point? But most importantly, how can I better myself? And
Yeah.
again, back to that topic of perfectionism, it's not going to be better tomorrow. It's not going to be better in a week, but what steps can I make to improve it? And again, where a lot of people kind of lose that because they don't want to put in that work every day, or they don't believe that it's going to make a difference in their life. Every day makes little changes. You don't see it happening, but it's happening. And, you know, little changes like something like journaling every day, or eating good, or working out. Like, people give up because they don't see results within a week, but you might not see results for a couple of years, you know. And
Oh yeah.
each year will get better, but you have to make those changes within your life to see positive changes in your external environment.
Absolutely. No, it's so true. That's literally so true. And you know, I had to get to the point where, you know, I'm not exactly where I want to be in life. I'm not, you know, I was, I think what my thing was is when I got you know, let go from the cruise ship because of obviously COVID, we had to get off the ship. I was holding on to the fact of, okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, when are they going to stop mandating the vaccine? Okay, then I'll go back. When, you know, constantly asking, is the vaccine mandated still? Can I go on yet? Can I do this yet? And constantly asking that question and holding on to the fact of, okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm going to go back, instead of just finally where I'm at. Okay, I'm not going back, and it's okay. That was a point in my
Mm-hmm.
life. That was an
Mm-hmm.
amazing point in my life. That was a one of the best experiences of my life. I got to live out one of my dream goals, and instead of living so much in the past, which I did for 3 years of my life, I
Mm-hmm.
really just kept saying, "Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. It's going to happen." And then finally, I was like, "Okay, I'm not. You know, it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Okay, I did it."
Mm-hmm.
And I think going back on the ship that I worked on this past February, I got to take Chase on the ship that I worked on, and we got to vacation. Like, I got on it and I did the weekend. We had an amazing time and it was so good to be back, and I miss it so much, of course. But I also the whole time was like, wow, I can't imagine if I still was doing this. And I can't imagine if I was still in this cycle of doing this every single day. And
Mhm.
again, don't get me wrong, I loved it so much, but I can't imagine if I still was doing that. And it was like that closure point of me for God to be like, okay, Mckaleigh, like, you're seeing it again, you're back on it, but like, this isn't what you're meant to be doing anymore. And I put
Mhm.
you through that season of your life, and I gave you that gift, and you did it, but it's not what you're supposed to be doing. And stop being so much in the past, because all I was focusing on was the past. So it's so true. Just live in the present and just watch where your life falls into place. So
If you're thinking of the past, you're depressed. And if you're thinking of the future, you're anxious.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
really a lose-lose because, you know, you can't control either of it. You have to, especially if you're focusing on the past, it's one of the worst things you can do because it's never gonna you can't change that. It happened. And the thing is we're on so many different timelines. It's like that timeline is so like that has nothing to do with who you are. And I think what a big thing is what we do is we grasp this idea of who we were and different versions of ourselves that we used to be. So instead of thinking from your ego, really thinking, is this nourishing my soul?
yeah,
Is this doing it for me? And again, like what you said, in all the different situations you're in life, you really have to sit there and think, is this fulfilling me? Like, am I actually fulfilled or
hmm,
am I just covering up the band-aid? And that's the thing is at the end of the day, if you don't have anything, this is how I always think of life. If you don't have anything, if you have no friends, if you have no significant other, you don't have a house, you don't have a place you're living in. You have nothing. You don't have a job, you don't have money. Who are you? You know? And
yeah,
a lot of people like to ask, when they're like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I work at so and so and I do this," but it's like, "No, who are you?" And that's from a podcast I listen to, Rob Dial. I love his podcast too, and he always explains that, like how people just grasp to that. It's like your ego. You grasp, oh, I do this and I'm this
yeah,
person, but who are you? Are you really happy with who you are at the end of the day, or
yeah.
no?
It's so true. I just talked about that, I think, on my second podcast. I was like, are you letting what you do define you, or are you actually defining yourself of who you are? This is kind of crazy that me and you are talking on my podcast about holistic living and healing. Did you ever think that me and you would be talking about this?
Never,
Never. Like,
never. I
we
mean,
crazy.
never. I mean, again, I always knew that there was going to be some change in my life at some point. I could see it. I used to like just sit there and smile to myself and I could sense it intuitively. I always knew it. I always knew that there was something a higher calling but and I knew it was going to be something with health, but no, I couldn't imagine that we'd both be sitting here talking about this similar topic. No.
I know, and like,
If you asked
I
me 5, 6, 7 years ago, no,
no.
probably
Oh my
not.
gosh. We were in New York City 6 years ago, partying and at the clubs, unwell. Unwell.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
It's good to go through that too because you learn so much from it.
Yeah.
You learn a lot and um we got to experience that sort of thing, and I can never imagine going back to that lifestyle ever again, but it'll never happen again. But
No. Yeah. No,
at the
it's
time it did, and
yeah.
we had fun at those times for life, but
We did. We had a lot of fun. But no,
I
it's
had a
crazy.
blast.
Yeah, it was. We were fun. We had a good time. We were the cool
Yeah,
kids on the block, but now we're the weird
yeah,
kids on the block.
yeah. Now we're the weird kids. Now
The
we're the
weird,
weird kids that don't drink and
yeah,
don't do anything. But
and only eat
what are you
organic
gonna
food.
do?
look at the ingredients. But you know what? We're healthy and we look good.
Exactly. Not only that, but we feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has just been so good to have you on the podcast, Carly. I knew that I had to have you on as my first guest on online, and just hearing your story and watching you go through what you have has been amazing, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm just excited to keep watching you and keep watching you inspire people. And I'm excited that we got to talk a little bit about this and just everyone to hear your story because it's important and what you're doing is amazing. So be proud of what you are doing. And we are definitely gonna have you back on here because I know that there's so much more that we could dive into. We could be talking for 3 hours.
Mckaleigh, I could talk for another 17 hours.
Oh, me too, but it's so good. And I know that this is just gonna talk to so many people. And I know like having you as soon as I was like, who am I gonna have on my first as my first guest? And I was like, Carly, like I have to because we're so similar in our ways and it's so good to see we both have come from, the pits of darkness to such lights now. So I'm super, again, just proud of you and thankful to have you in my life and reconnect and just to watch your journey.
Thank you so much. I loved talking today with you and talking about these topics. It's good to talk with people, who understand it and who are going through a similar journey and to hear about your journey and to talk about my journey.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think it's going to reach a lot of the right people and, make sense to them and make them think of certain things that maybe they didn't look at in a certain way. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And if you guys have any questions at all on any of these topics that Carly touched on, go ahead and follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram is Carly _Dennison. I'll be sure to tag her in this. And then her TikTok is Carly Dennison, no underscore. She posts a lot on everything that we talked about, and she's always here for any questions, and so am I.
Mhm.
So we are going to close out the podcast. Again, thank you so much for coming on, girl. I was so happy to have you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. I had a great time and I'll definitely have to come back on and we'll have to talk about more stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I hope all of you enjoyed listening to this podcast today. As we said, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us. And as always, keep it real out there, you guys.